Today, we've got Jana back on the show. We're recording live from Milan, Italy, and she's going to talk about a wide variety of subjects, such as preparing your listing for Amazon AI, translating your listing, other marketplaces, and much more. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I'm your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And speaking of the e-commerce world, I am on the other side of the world right now. I'm in Milan, Italy, and we are at the Helium 10 Elite and Avast workshop. And one of the speakers for today is somebody who is no stranger to the show, Jana. Jana, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Now, this is the first time we've seen Jana because she's been creating life, out there. How's that for you? How's that going for you?
It's a struggle, but it's something that I'm really grateful for, honestly.
I got an early start. We were just talking about how my kids are in their 20s already. But then again, there's advantages of waiting. Like you got to, you and Lazar got to have just pretty much go whenever you want. You see now that it's a little bit different. You can't just go up and hey, let's go to Ibiza today. Huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could go to Ibiza, but I have to be home by 9 p.m. So that's a small difference.
So we're not here to talk about parenting. We're here to talk about what Jana is an expert at, and that's mainly translations and things. And I think one thing that's been on the mind of many people is wait a minute, with AI, do I even need professional translators anymore? I could just go ahead and click a button and now I can have a perfectly optimized listing thanks to ChatGPT or thanks to AI. Now, can you tell us, is that a true statement?
Well, honestly, Bradley, I use AI on a daily basis, and I think it has changed our lives and made our lives simpler in some ways. But I would disagree with the part where you said to get your listings optimized. I would say it's great to do a summary of your reviews and maybe to help you understand how a product works, maybe to describe what you see on the picture if the image is blurry and you can't tell. But I would stay away from AI when it comes to optimization, keywords, and most importantly, localization, because AI is it's getting better, definitely, but we are years away from this being a fantastic tool that will replace human brain and human touch and human understanding of context.
Yeah, so you actually had some examples of what the drawbacks are, because maybe if you have zero budget and you want to have something better than just the Amazon auto translate, sure, maybe AI is going to put you on the right track. But what's an example of kind of like money you're leaving on the table if you just 100% rely on AI for translation?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that you can get it translated. It will be probably mediocre at best. A lot of things will be maybe translated very confusingly, will be poorly translated. But, if you're on a tight budget, yeah, sure, go ahead and, see how that works, because probably it will not be as efficient as something else. But since we're here in Italy, I have a really good example. And this is a pasta machine one of our clients was selling. So she was selling this in the States, and then she was branding it as pasta machine like in Bella Italia. Now, like for an American, you would probably think that, wow, this is something very authentic, something that will make me help make great pasta at home. But what if you want to sell this product in Italy? So what if you tell Italian, hey, buy this product because it's like in Bella Italia? And you being an Italian would be like, what do you mean Bella Italia? I don't understand. We're already in Italia and it is Bella, but I mean, I don't get it. So using AI, I tried to play around a little bit with this example. And so the first thing, I wrote a really nice prompt and I said, can you make it sound more localized so that Italians want to buy this machine because it's really top quality and will make amazing pasta? So the AI came up with make pasta in a traditional way, which is better. It's not a literal translation, but it's still so far away from what is when you say Bella Italia in English and to an American, it doesn't send the same message and it doesn't have the same warmth as what you would get is, for instance, if you said, make pasta like your nonna or your grandma used to make. So when you say nonna to an Italian, it automatically triggers that childhood memories, great pasta, warmth. It sells emotions. And this is what will sell also your product, and it will make it more closer to your local audience. And Italians will be like, well, let me try this because I really want to make, like pasta like my grandma used to make, because this is probably one of the best memories I've had of my grandma. And then they will buy this product. But then AI will not come up with this, because AI is not, doesn't have this, lacks human touch, literally. Like that translation is okay, it's decent, but it lacks that something that will connect you with the target audience and sell your product and convey the same message you'll have back in your home marketplace.
Yeah. So that's a one good example. And almost in any language, there's going to be, similar things like that, even in English. So maybe somebody who is an Italian person trying to make an American listing, might try to translate some words that just, like American or English or American slang that you just can't always just translate from an AI. I mean, definitely, I think AI is better than Google Translate. That's one of the worst things that you could do for your listing, but it still has a little ways to go. Now, something interesting we've been seeing lately from Amazon, something that Amazon sellers have been asking for a while, is the ability to localize your images easier. In the past, sometimes, hey, you have your US ASIN and then you're using the same ASIN in Italy or Spain or wherever, and it would pull in those images and then you try and rewrite the image. And then now all of a sudden your Spanish infographic is showing in US, but now they have this kind of like cool image manager where you can make the images for each marketplace. What are some best practices for how you can quote unquote localize the images? It's not just about the words. Obviously that's a no-brainer. Don't have Japanese writing in your Amazon USA listing, but like even some lifestyle images, like would you suggest changing like base to make it more look like, you don't want, like maybe to have Asian looking models for Japan market or things like that? Or what can you talk about localization of images?
So this is a really good question, but unfortunately, maybe 1% of the brands would actually do that. 90% of the brands would just change the text on images. Like the images will stay the same, but they will just translate it into different languages, which is fine. It is also one step forward compared to how it used to be. But what is really important is it depends on the category that you're selling. For instance, if you're selling doorknobs, or if you're selling anything that has to do with anything you can find in your bathroom, maybe like a shower organizer or a shower curtain or anything like it, you have to keep in mind that bathrooms in Europe are quite different than bathrooms in the States. And all the brands selling anything like that, like from the States to Europe, they leave the American doorknobs, they leave the American shower heads, which is fixed to the ceiling. In Europe, we have like this completely different thing. And also this is something that really catches like my attention every single time, because like they then these customers will say, well, maybe this works like in the States, but like it doesn't fit really well into my shower cabinet. I don't have it. I also have a really big bath, which you don't get like in the States. And like there are like a lot of things that are very, very different. Also, for instance, like in Europe, like I want to have a bidet in my bathroom, which is quite usual to have in your home. As in the States, like I have never seen a bidet except the international chain of hotels.
My house has one. From living in Japan, I was like, I need a bidet in my, so I custom imported one and I'm using one in my house.
Well, you're one of the 1,000 people. I probably have like that smart toilet as well, which is my favorite. So this is like something that brands don't really pay attention to. So for all the other things, I think you can get away with. For instance, if you're selling something like office supplements, sports, outdoors, all of that, maybe switch with like different models. But I would say that for most of the cases, you can keep the same models. But when you're selling home appliance or anything that has to do with something which is in your home, keep in mind that homes are very different and people will not be able to relate with this product, understand where to put it, how it works, because they'll have different things in their home. And then in these cases, I would recommend changing the images, because I think that this would bring you so much more, and this might be a deal breaker for your product.
Good point. Now, going back to your topic of listings and things like that. Now, I'm not going to be able to see your presentation this afternoon because I'm going to record another podcast, and we're not going to go over your whole thing here, but can you give some of the main points of what you're going to talk about this afternoon?
Right. So I'm going to try to answer the question like where to sell your product next. So a lot of people ask me this, so I decided to dig a little bit deeper into this topic and try to just do like a short summary of like what you should pay attention to. For instance, like you should check like how much money is this product making on new marketplace. Then I would compare the profit that, for instance, my competitor is making on my home market versus what are they making on the new marketplace. So this is really important. So not only the sales matter, but also profit. If they're making less profit than they're making in your home marketplace and selling more, then maybe you should think again of like, if you want to do it or not. And then, of course, you want to know if you can beat them on the content level using keywords, using optimization, using a bunch of different things, strategies. This is really important because like if you have 10, 15 different top competitors, from my experience and from all the analysis I've done, you can land in top 3, 4, even in the top best-selling categories on the content level. So that for me alone is worth going there because you can organically be indexed very easily because a lot of brands that come from the States that sell in Europe, they don't really care about their content because their team does not understand it. So somehow they think it's irrelevant when it isn't. I mean, if it's relevant in English, why it is not relevant in another language, right? So if you ask me, like content is really easy to get positioned like very well in Europe. And then, of course, very important, which a lot of people don't understand the importance of, is actually your audience. And then asking your audience, will they buy your product? For instance, we had Pigfo also build our international polls for us. And so you would want to like test out, let's say, like you want to go to Spain. You think it's a great product, all the numbers add up, it's fantastic, but will your buyers buy it? Will they be excited about it? So you ask, let's say 100, 150 people, like you can like target them, like, you know, women age 40 to 50, Amazon Prime, whatever, you know, like high income. And then you ask them like, would you or somebody you know buy this product? Yes or no? Because we had a situation where we had one of the clients wanting to sell something in Germany and everything added up nicely, but the product was just not selling. So I went to my German team and asked them like, would you buy this product? It was some sort of like a Mr. and Mrs. thing, like a cup with that. And then I have 12 German team members and every single one of them said, no, we're never buy this product. And then I went like, why? And they're like, because Jana, it's like such a not a German product to buy. It's like so not something that we would want to have in our kitchen. And I was like, wow, this is insane. So I went back to the client and I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I think the audience hates this product. Like maybe you should come up with something different or maybe try another country. So this is something really important. You know, the Vox Populi, it's very, really important. All the other parameters are, but this also adds to a really big important part whether you should expand to this country or not.
Where are you seeing a lot of people from US and then conversely from Europe? Where are they expanding to? Like historically, it's always been vice versa. All right, if I'm in US, you know, obviously if I was doing Canada and Mexico already, but then now I go to Europe. If I'm in Europe, I'm either already selling in US or that's the next one. Is that still the case, or are you seeing more people go to newer places like maybe Japan or Middle East or other places?
Right. Well, when we're talking about US brand, it's always going to be first Mexico or Canada because, of course, geographically it makes most sense. Then it's Europe. And then we've seen people try to go to UAE. I think people are very interested in the marketplace. They don't know what to expect, but they're like, let me try. Because usually, like, you would not need translations or any, like, it's not that big of a deal to go to UAE. You can keep your listings in English, especially if you're targeting expats. That's really important because then they don't do like Arabic keyword research. And then some of the brands, they're brave enough, they go to Japan. We've seen a lot of crazy products be really successful in Japan, but not all brands are ready for it because of the alphabet and unknown universe and everything. They're really, really afraid of that. But we've seen brands do Japan, especially in the last year. We've seen the increase in Japan and a little bit of like showing interest for the UAE. I think Saudi Arabia is going to be also really interesting. We've talked about this earlier. And yeah, but I would say still Europe, number one. And then more than like, if I compare it to like 3 years ago, definitely more Japan and more UAE. But still, I would say that they want to go to Europe a lot. And I'm not sure if any of them like from the States would be interested in Australia, honestly. I think Australia has grown bigger, but because of the Australian sellers, not because of the brands that actually want to expand there.
Are a lot of your US customers expanding to both Walmart and TikTok Shop, or do you see more going to one or the other?
Yes, I would say Walmart definitely, especially in the last year and a half. And then TikTok Shop, a lot of people want to, but they don't know how it works, honestly. And then I get a lot of questions like, we've heard amazing things about TikTok, and they've never sold with like influencers, UGC, they haven't used it a lot. So they're kind of really afraid to test the waters. But I know that the ones that have already sold on TikTok Shop had amazing results, and it's like completely different universe. And of course you don't know how long it's going to last. So I'd say like, hop on that train and just, do it. It's really, yeah, I think it's going to be good ROI, really.
Sellers have lost thousands of dollars by not knowing that they were hijacked perhaps on their Amazon listing, or maybe somebody changed their main image, or Amazon changed their shipping dimensions so they had to pay extra money every order. Helium 10 can actually send you a text message or email if any of these things or other critical events happen to your Amazon account. For more information, go to h10.me/alerts. All right, now switching gears a little bit, something that I was talking about in my presentation was, for me, I'm not doing too much differently nowadays, even though there's new AI things like Rufus, but there's a lot of people who maybe weren't doing best practices for listing, but now those people are going to be even farther behind because of what Rufus is. And so what are, you as a company, when you're making a listing for somebody, I believe you probably have in mind things like Rufus, right? Even when you're making the listing, what are those things that you guys have in mind, and how are you doing things to make sure that somebody's listing is ready for Amazon's AI things?
Right. That's also a really good question because as you said, a lot of things that you were doing the right way maybe 6-7 years ago, they are still relevant, some of them. So we were also, whenever we were doing a listing, we always pay attention to context and how it sounds to the target audience. So it's not only like when you have your bullets, it's not only about your key features, how this product and that product. It's also like how you would like talk to the customer. So let's pretend that you have a customer on your page and then you have like this, hello, how we can help you like chat box saying, hey, so what do you want to know about this product? And then maybe let's say this customer wants to buy something for their daughter, let's say a diaper bag, and then like maybe you ask her like, do you travel a lot? Oh, you may be traveling a lot, so you maybe put this in the bullet. Or you can go to your reviews and like see what people are talking about, the situations where they use these product, locations where they use this product, because this will make your bullet sound more real and like as if someone wrote the bullet who was your customer. I would think from a customer stand or customer point of view, write things as if you were using this product, and get ideas from the reviews and actually like you are talking to a real person. I think this is like really important. So not just like random sentences like buy a product because this, and this, because it sounds like you're reading a manual. So you're not buying things from like a manual, buying from a real person that loves and enjoys your product. So I would have this mindset with writing listings, and of course not just using keywords in the title, which is really important. So keyword stuffing has been dead for a long time. But even now, like today, I don't see a title that reads nicely that's also like filled with just like random words, maybe like random phrases, but definitely not sentences. And this can hurt a lot the algorithm and like actually the power of AI to recognize what your product is about and to offer it to customers, because it will not understand the true value of what your product is bringing and solutions it's offering. So I think it's really important to today sit down and optimize your listings as if you were a customer. I think that is really important to make it more human. I think that is the actual approach you should take.
What else is new in your world as far as things, like one thing I mentioned also is that one of the constants in Amazon is change. Things are, rules are changing, algorithms are changing, best practice changing, fees might change the way you have to do things. Things are always changing in Amazon. It's never a dull moment. So in the last, couple of years, since maybe the last time you've been on this podcast, what are some other things that you're having to do differently for clients or that you've had to adapt due to something that maybe changed on Amazon?
Well, definitely you always have to keep up with the forbidden words, and we do a lot of supplements, so that's always a very big challenge. Every supplement is different, every country is different, so more than ever, you have to really pay attention to that. It's really important. Now, when you say bio, for instance, like in Germany, it does not have to mean that it is 100% organic. Earlier, it was organic, but now it doesn't have to mean. It means that you have a certificate, but it doesn't mean that it's an organic product. So you can't say and use a word organic actually to make this be like a bio product or vice versa. It's really like fine print what you should read really, really carefully because I think it's getting more refined of what is allowed and what is not. A couple of years ago, it was like, okay, you can't have a health claim. Sure, let's just figure it out. Like just come up with a different sentence. But now you're gonna have to use it as a health claim, but you have to be really refined about it because you have to have it in a listing. So I would say that even on European marketplaces, there are lighting years behind US market. It is getting more refined and more difficult to get away with things that you could use like 3 years ago. When it comes to keyword research, it's now pretty much the same as like if you use long tail keywords as you've used for the last 6 years. you'll be good. Helium 10 now covers all of the international marketplaces, which is amazing. It's always the best choice for all of the search volumes, relevancy, and all of that. And I would also just add that, when you choose a keyword do you want to use in your listing, you shouldn't only pay attention to the search volume, because a lot of sellers would be like, oh, okay, 70,000 search volumes, like this is amazing, but it's not, because the relevancy is what matters. So you need to combine those two, because sometimes like the top on the top list of the search volume keyword is not going to be best to describe what your product actually is. And now more than ever, talking about the AI, it's really important to use relevant keywords and related keywords to your product, because then the AI will better understand what your product is about and how your customer is typing to get to this product. Maybe sometimes you will think, well, maybe this is too broad, but then type it into Amazon and see what is going to be in that search result. Maybe this is where your product should be, and this is why you should think of like putting it into your listing. So I think now you should kind of use more of your strategy and brain power, like to put it like into your listings, than before when it was like a no-brainer being like, oh, okay, this doesn't describe my product, next. Now, maybe this is something, it's a related search term that people use in order to get to your product, because it's like more broad, but it's still not, let's say if you're selling fitness, like yoga mat, maybe you're not going to put like sports equipment. Maybe this is too broad search for you, but maybe something more narrow, but even like a little bit broader than what you thought put in a listing will help AI connect the dots and like to put it all together. It's also, I love SEO. It's like my bread and butter, and I know a lot of like Google SEO. So when you also have a Google and you have like that knowledge panel of your company on Google, and then on your about company page, or if you have like your own page about me, you should have all of the, let's say LinkedIn, Facebook, everything that it helps Google connect the dots and put it in your knowledge panel so that you're relevant for one thing. This is literally what AI on Amazon will do, just like more like a niche, because Amazon is a niche, like in Google is much broader. And it will help AI or anything that is inside of the search engine connect the dots and make them realize that your product is relevant for XYZ things.
Are you guys mainly just doing translations, or do you also do things from scratch where somebody just comes with a product, they don't have a listing in a certain marketplace, and you're creating it from scratch?
Yeah, absolutely. We do copywriting in all the non-English for our non-English marketplaces, and we do this from scratch. And this is also the strategy that we have, thinking as a buyer and then putting our thoughts and experience into words and selling it to the target audience with localization. So I would say that we are. I mean, saying that we are a translation agency is very simple. It means just like translating words by word, but we actually translate it into emotions, and like we're translating into the sales actually of the product. So basically, localization is much more different than translation, because you need a little bit of copywriting in that as well. Because if you have a sentence like in Bella Italia, if I would translate it, it will be just like the same sentence in Italian with the Bella Italia. But then you might add something or recreate that single sentence to achieve the same effect as you have in English. So it is a little bit of transcreation, as I would say.
Okay, so then when somebody does come with a new project, we've mainly today been talking about listings and maybe some images and titles. What's your strategy as far as A+ content or premium A+ content, brand story, in the case of making something from scratch? Or when we're talking about translating, like maybe they've got a brand story, they've got A+ content in one. Are you completely telling them to completely change it in the other marketplaces, or what are some strategies for these things you can talk about?
That is a really difficult one we have with our clients, because every time when a new client comes, like we send them our onboarding questionnaire, where we ask them a couple of questions, so we are 100% sure that we are on the same page with the brand and the brand voice. But you'll be surprised how many brands are really scared of changing anything and localizing their A+ content, brand story, storefront, anything. They're just like, translate it, but please make sure to have all of the important information there. And then you tell them like, yeah, we're going to have all the important information, but maybe we change the context a little bit. And they're like, oh, God, no, don't change it. And I'm like, but this will resonate better with the target audience. They're like, well, maybe just like 10%. So brands are actually afraid of localizing, which doesn't mean their brand is going to get butchered. It's just going to get a little bit adapted to a new marketplace. And this is what I suggest to all brands to do. You would be surprised of like the conversions and everything when someone reads something which is closer to them in German, in French, and Italian versus a big, gigantic US brand that speaks to Americans in a salesy, fluffy voice. Like you don't want to sell that type of brand in Europe at all. So that's really, really important. Very few listen to what I say, but a lot of them are really, really afraid of doing that. This is like, true case study. But those that do like really have good results. And we've had one baby brand selling fleece jackets for babies. They had about 60% increase in like visits on their webpage because they changed their images and they changed the tone of the voice in their storefront, which was absolutely amazing. And of course, with that followed increase in profit. So don't be afraid to localize your storefronts. Nothing is going to change. The only change we'll see is probably positive change.
For people who want to reach out to you, how can they find you on the interwebs out there?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I do a lot of video analysis. I really enjoy just like helping brands scale and just pointing out to what they could do better. So LinkedIn definitely number one. And then definitely you can reach out by email at jana@ylt-translations.com.
All right. So a few more questions here. Your favorite Helium 10 tool?
I think the new keyword tracker, really, I absolutely love it. And it's so easy. Like it's so straightforward. Like even I think my 7-month-old baby could use it. It's very easy. And I love how you can like find out new keywords you could be ranked for and track all of the competitors, like in all different marketplaces. That is really, really important for us from what we do. So I would say that is like my probably latest favorite update.
And then something that maybe we don't have that you're having to get from somewhere else, or some new feature that nobody has and you've always thought, oh man, this would make my life so much easier. If I were to let you be in charge of the Helium 10 product team, what would be your first job for them to make some new tool or some new feature?
Yeah, well, first of all, I really have to say big thank you to Helium 10 because they've always listened to what I said. All of the, like suggestions, like for instance, like when you do a keyword research, usually it was to put number 2 as a default for the keywords. And then I went to Boyan, who was then a CEO, and then I told him like, look, you need to change this to number 1 and 2 because of the big compound words in German that do not come up in the lists. So that was amazing. So I don't have anything like that, like as amazing as that suggestion was, but I'm really happy to see that all international marketplaces are available in Helium 10. And then I would maybe want to see, if new marketplaces show up, I would want to like see like all the updates for that as well. And then maybe like how you have an opportunity explorer, like a analysis for a product. I think that may be combined into like one thing, so you have like a better overview of like the statistics with like numbers and lines going up. Because I think sometimes it's kind of visually difficult to visualize how everything is working together when you want to scale to a new marketplace. You do have all these amazing numbers, but I think that visual graphics would do amazingly well because a lot of people get lost in these numbers, and then once you have something visually presented for you, you're like, wow, this is actually gonna work, versus 1,000 numbers, 3,000 Excel sheets, like I don't even know what I'm doing. So like this will like stimulate people into wanting to expand more by having it visually clear for them that this is going like top sales, competitors, following all of that, just like in like visually pleasing display like screen. I'm a very visual type, so this for me is really important, for instance.
Awesome. All right, what's your last 30-second tip or 60-second strategy you have for the audience? Could be about parenting, it could be about travel, it could be about Amazon, it could be about anything.
Oh, I have a tip about travel for all the US citizens out there. So when you travel to Europe, and I know that this year and last year has been an insane number of US Americans, I think only because like Taylor Swift's concerts, like people going to Europe and Paris, I remember that. So like when you buy, especially luxury goods, they're very expensive, you can get tax-free at the airports. I know a lot of people don't know about this, but if you buy, let's say something that costs 1,000 euros, you get in Italy 12% cash back. So if you buy that, you get a receipt and then you take it to the airport, and then before you hop on a plane, you show the item you bought. So don't put it in your checked-in bag. You have to show it, and then on spot you will get cash back. That can be a lot of money sometimes.
Awesome. All right, a cool travel tip. I just recently did something like that. I think I was in Japan or Korea. And even a couple services, I had paid tax, but then there was like a machine in Korea, and I was able to get it back.
I was surprised because a lot of people that really do travel a lot, they didn't know about this. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna say it. Maybe some of you know, but I'm sure a lot of you don't. So I think free money. Why not?
Awesome. Well, Jana, it's good to connect with you again. I look forward to again, seeing you at conferences like we always used to in the past, and wish you the most of success.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure to catch up.